Good morning, everyone. I welcome to all to a 6 CPR seminar on GST Summit, the Emerging Jurisprudence. I'd like to invite our chief guest, Sri Manoj Kedia ji, IRS, Principal Additional Director General Vigilance, Eastern Zone, CGST Department, Kolkata. I'll request CA Manish Raj Dandaria ji, Deputy Convener, ACA Chartered Accountant Study Circle, CA Tarun Gupta, Member, ACA Chartered Accountant Study Circle, and CA Shubham Khaitan to kindly escort our chief guest. I'll request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem and the ICAI motto song.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
येष सुप्तेषु जागृति येष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रदब्रह्मा तदब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Thank you. I'll now like to request our chief guest, Sri Manoj Kedia ji, to kindly inaugurate the summit by lighting of the inaugural lamp. I'll request all the dignitaries, the speakers, the past presidents of ACAI, the regional council members, central council members present, ACAI office bearers and executive committee members to kindly come forward for the lighting of the lamp.
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय
Thank you. I'd now like to introduce our chief guest, Shri Manoj Kedia ji. Shri Manoj Kedia ji is an esteemed IRS officer from the 1994 batch. He currently serves as the Principal Additional Director General Vigilance, Eastern Zone, CGST Department at Kolkata. Prior to this, he was the Principal Commissioner of CGST at the Kolkata North Commissionerate. Shri Manoj Kedia ji is a respected speaker on self-management, delivering lectures on this subject at various forums. His unique blend of engineering knowledge, tax administration experience, and commitment to personal development has made him a highly regarded figure in both professional and academic circles. I request everyone to kindly welcome him with a round of applause. And I'd like to now request CA Tarun Kumar Gupta ji and CA Arun Agarwal ji to kindly come forward and present a Autorio and a memento to our chief guest. Thank you. I'll now like to inform the House regarding the activities of ACA Chartered Accountants CPE Study Circle of EIRC of ICAI. We regularly do 3 CPR seminar on every Friday from 4 to 7 at our Lions Range office. And we also organize conclaves such as the GST conclave, which we are attending today, and NBFC conclave and IBC conclave throughout the year. I request everyone to kindly participate in the activities of the study circle. I'll now like to request CA Tarun Kumar Gupta, member ACA Chartered Accountant CPE Study Circle, to give his welcome address.
Good morning to all of you. Respected Chief Guest, Sir, Shri Manoj Kedia, IRS, distinguished speakers, esteemed panelists, fellow professionals, and dear friends. Good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you in this GST Summit 2025, organized by the ACAI Chartered Accountants CPE Study Circle of EIRC of ICAI. It is a matter of great pride and privilege for us that this year marks not just 8 years since the introduction of GST in India, but also the 8th edition of our annual GST Summit, a platform that consistently brought together the best of minds to reflect on the evolution of this landmark reform. The theme for this year, the Emerging Jurisprudence in GST, has been chosen to highlight the growing body of case law and judicial precedents that continues to define and redefine GST implementation. In these 8 years, GST has matured into a complex yet robust tax system, and courts have played a pivotal role in establishing jurisprudence and foundational principles in some areas. We are honored to have with us Shri Manoj Kedia, Sir, IRS Principal Additional Director General Vigilance, Eastern Zone CGST Department, Kolkata, as our chief guest, a respected administrator whose presence adds immense value to today's deliberations. Our distinguished speakers today, Senior Advocate CA V. Raghuraman Sir from Bengaluru, CA Advocate Avinash Podarji from Surat, CA Advocate Shivam Mehta ji from Delhi, and Mr. Sitaram Naik, COO of Fact Software, will help us decode key legal developments in valuation, refunds, ITC litigation, and the digitalization of GST systems. We also look forward to a high-impact panel discussion on the duties and rights of taxpayers along with the powers and limitations of the department, featuring a well-rounded group of senior professionals and administrators, including Shri Rajiv Sen Gupta, Mr. Sushil Poddar, CA Sanjay Gupta, Advocate Karthik Kurmi, and CA Arun Agarwal ji. To mark this occasion, we are proud to release two significant publications, a souvenir focusing on the articles on topical GST issues by leading authors, and a compilation of 51 landmark judgments that captured the emerging jurisprudence in GST. I express my heartfelt gratitude to all our speakers, contributors, supporters, and overall the participants. Your active involvement in the GST Summit today is the true strength of this platform. Let this day be one of our learning, exchange, and renewed clarity. Thank you once again for being part of this journey. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Tarunji. Before I request CS Shubham Khetan to kindly introduce the theme of the summit, the emerging jurisprudence, I'd like to highlight something before the August gathering. The monthly collections for GST has smashed records this year. 2.37 lakh crores in April 2025 and 2.01 lakh crore in May 2025. This is more than double the monthly take which was existing 5 years ago. However, what is astonishing is that with a collection of 2 lakh crore a month, 1.95 lakh crore is simultaneously under the scanner, which gives us the picture that 50% compliance and 50% courtroom drama. With this, I request Shubham Khetan to kindly introduce the theme of the summit.
Good morning to all the dignitaries, Shri Manoj Kedia, Sir, Ayush Jain ji, who is the convener, Manish Raj Dhandyaria ji, who is the deputy convener, and Tarun Kumar Gupta ji, who is the member of ACI Study Circle, and to all the August gathering here, and to all the dignitaries of the dais as well. It has been indeed a pleasure to introduce this wonderful session that we are going to have today. There have been a series of sessions that we've thought of on the concept of and the theme pronouncing the emerging jurisprudence. Now, GST, we all know, marked the beginning of a new era, and it has brought in a lot of professionals under the ambit of GST, particularly the chartered accountants, who were earlier not that focused into indirect taxes, I would say, before that, before the emergence of GST. And perhaps I think the number of professionals who have now come into the GST field have far exceeded the number of any other professionals who have been instrumental in the implementation of this scheme. Now, compliance has been one area which has resulted in a lot of litigation because of the fact the way GST was brought in and the number of complications it had in terms of how the execution was in the beginning. So because of that, we are seeing a number of litigations, a number of scrutiny notices which have transpired the whole system, and we now know that there are so many cases which are still pending before the higher forums. Now, for any law to evolve, it is extremely relevant that both the legislature and the judiciary should go hand in hand. While the legislature, whatever it had thought of, we have tried to implement it in the best way possible, but the judicial principles which should have evolved along with the legislature is still in its initial phase. Perhaps the principles that we are seeing in the being established through the judiciaries would stay for a very long time. We would see these judgments which we are seeing today being quoted for a very long time. So with this idea, we had also floated the last 50, top 50 case laws that we have seen in the GST era from the last 8 years. Having said this, this is only the mark of a beginning of a very long era of litigation under GST. And perhaps the establishment of tribunal in the near future would be also the right step in that direction. And the establishment of tribunal would also result in a number of appeals being filed to Supreme Court and High Courts, whereas most of the appeals which have been today filed are in the form of writ petitions, and though they have not exactly established the law, but they have resulted in a lot of principles of natural justice and technical principles being established. So today, while we are looking at what has transpired over the period of time for the last 2-3 years from the jurisprudence which is emerging, we'll also look at the near future, which may result, and we'll also have an understanding from the speakers as to what may happen in the near future and what we as professionals should be looking forward to and how do we get ready for this. So this emerging jurisprudence, this is the right time for us, even as professionals who are looking to get into GST, to understand all the principles which are getting established over a period of time, to regularly read and be very updated with the relevant scenarios which are taking place today. And the next next few years, what are the aspects that we should be looking at to stay prepared and stay ahead of the other professionals in this particular race. So with this, let me now once again thank each and every one of you for joining us today. So now I'll request Ayush to take it over.
Thank you, Shubham. I'll now request our chief guest, Shri Manoj Kedia ji, to kindly release the souvenir on the topic GST, the emerging jurisprudence, and also a compilation of the 51 top case laws in GST. I'll request CA Priyanshi Agarwal, CA Sakshi Jajaria ji, CA Siddhan Jajodia, and CA Rohit Prasad to kindly join us on the stage for the release. Thank you. I would now like to request our chief guest, Sri Manoj Kedia ji, for his inaugural address.
Good morning to all. Respected members of Institute of Chartered Accountant, ladies and gentlemen. So, basically I was told that the topic of today's discussion is the emerging jurisprudence. So I told Mr. Arun Agarwal that it will not be wise for me to discuss on these things, and I am not expert on every subject of judgment. So I told him that I will give talk on introspection of GST. So it's a something new subject. No one talks about this. And I have been writing a book, I think for last 3 months. So a lot of thought process has emerged in me. So certain points, whatever have emerged in my mind, I am just putting that. So let us understand that we have completed 8 years of GST, and have we really succeeded in GST? So just now it was told that we have reached from 1 lakh crore to 2 lakh crore rupees in GST collection in a month. Is it a success? Question is it a success? If you see the inflation of country, it ranges from 3.3% to 6%. So you can, by averaging, you can say that your inflation rate was 5%. And 8 years, we have doubled the GST collection. So doubling amount, if you go by compounding, it comes out to be roughly 8%. And 5% is your inflation. So your growth of business is maybe around 4 to 5%. Is it really a growth for a developed country, for developing country like India, where the growth rate should be very high? So this is a question which everyone should think of. Are we successful in collecting the GST? First of all, I will give an advice that while you are listening to me, don't think that you are a chartered accountant. You think that you are a citizen of India. Let me again put a word to you. When you win a case before tribunal or before any court, basically you lose a case. You can win the case as a chartered accountant for your client, but you lose a case as a citizen of India because country is losing revenue. If it is really to be paid correctly. So you have a dual role. Somewhere as a chartered accountant you are winning, but as a citizen of India you are losing. So the question is, are we really able to collect GST in a proper manner and to the best possible extent? So if you all know, the GST started in 2017 and the concept of GST started with ITC. See, most of the dispute is revolving around ITC. Question arises, why ITC? Why there is a concept of ITC? So basically GST is on value addition. So we started GST with two concepts, that it has to be, GST has to go to the consuming state and we have to collect GST on value addition. But there is no mechanism to find out the actual value addition for a businessman. So how to find out the value addition, how to collect the tax? The simple way was that you follow the method of ITC. Whatever input, you pay tax on everything, take the credit on the input and the paid the duty on final product. This system is very good if number of tax rate are few, very limited, maybe one or two. It may be a successful story. But where tax rate are too many, it starts from 0%, 5%, 12%, 18%, 28% with so many surcharges. And you have exempted product. So with so much of complication, have the concept of ITC has really succeeded? This is again a question. Why so much of dispute? I was studying the return. So what I was finding, that the government is basically extracting the invoice-wise details of each and every businessman. This means most of the B2B transactions, invoice-wise details has to be uploaded in GSTR1, and there is a concept of e-invoicing up to 5 crores, from 5 crores. This means the government is thinking of capturing the basic unit of your accounting. Means your invoice, your credit note, debit note, these are the basic unit of your accounting. These are being captured. And these are being transmitted. Where? To the buyers. And your GSTR2B is automatically generated. Up to this stage, government is very successful because almost all the transactions are being captured. But what happens after that? So there is the ITC. Your basic GST is based on ITC. If you see the statistics, 95% of revenue is collected from 5% of the taxpayers. And 95% of taxpayers are paying only 5% of revenue. If you go with the spirit of GST, this ratio appears to be very distorted. The value addition happens at each and every level. Even any goods which are manufactured at manufacturing end and big manufacturing end, it moves to the customer through different process. Either it is dealer, multiple dealers, and then it comes to the consumer. And there's a value addition at every level. Question is, why the government is not getting revenue at every level? Still, the ratio is from 95%. I myself have calculated the GST collection. It's less than 5% from whom you are collecting from 95%. 95% taxpayers are not paying tax. Means when I say they are not paying tax, means they are not paying GST in cash. They are paying in ITC. Where is the problem? Why we are not getting it? Concept, if you go by concept, the value addition has to take place at the down level. If you know what is a value addition, it is basically all the expenditures and your cost. Your profit, not cost. All the expenditures and your profit. And businessman cannot do anything without profit. There are huge profit margin at every level. If you go to the customer at retailer end, the profit margin increases because his volume is less. But if you see the data, and when I see the data, it is prevalent throughout India. Most of the businessmen try to pay the tax. It's not that they are not paying tax, they are trying to pay the tax through ITC. The cash payment is not there. This means it is just a book entry, nothing more. Government is not getting anything. So basically, we have to introspect. So I try to find out where is the problem. The problem is our medium scale. See, the big scale industries, they are all organized sector. And they are well equipped with everything. So there is no problem with the big industries. If any problem is there, that may be interpretation issues, maybe some error, human error issues may be there. Otherwise, there all the all the transactions are accounted. But when we come to the medium-sized industries or small-sized industries, the habit of tax payment is not there. This is a big question which needs to be answered and thought. I calculated myself the actual tax collection compared to the turnover. So while calculating the turnover, I found that the actual cash payment, actual tax collection is only 3%. Means if there is no concept of ITC, you impose 5%, the revenue will double, almost double. This means by the system of ITC, the government is not getting more than 3% of their turnover. So, what are the problem with the GST? What are the lacuna here? So, there are 3 loopholes in the GST. The first loopholes is your valuation. If you are purchasing in at rupees 100 and issuing the invoice at rupees 100, so there is no value addition there. Rest amount you are collecting from cash transactions. So you need not to pay any GST tax there. That is the biggest problem. Let me tell you, the valuation is the biggest challenge in taxation. You are all chartered accountant and you fully know that. The valuation is the biggest problem. The government has not been able to deal with it. Reason: collection of evidence is the most difficult. The moment cash transaction takes place, matter ends there. It does not leave the footprint of evidence. I get an invoice for 100 rupees, pay 10 rupees extra in cash, matter ends there. There is no footprint or any evidence for 10 rupees transaction. That is the biggest problem of most of the taxation and GST in particular. The second problem itself is misuse of ITC. So misuse of ITC, I will just give you in detail what are the different type of misuse of ITC and whether government, whether GST department is able to deal with it. Because we have to think that why the revenue is not increasing. The question arises, if the government impose 5% tax on transaction value, its revenue will increase, double automatically. Why the concept of so much of ITC concept is introduced? It is just because of value addition. We are trying to calculate the value addition. So there are three issues which I have talked. The valuation issues, then I have discussed with ITC issues, and let us understand why the tax is not being collected in the right manner. So as I told you, most of the business, SME sector, or most of the unorganized sector, if you think about Metia Bridge here, so someone was saying there is a 5,000 crore rupees of transaction every week in Metia Bridge in Calcutta. And if you see the revenue collection, it may not be more than a crore or 2 crore. Why we are not able to collect it? Similarly, leather industries, there is a huge transactions. Yesterday, some party came to me with a complaint and they showed me all the documents. It was a big business, but most of the business was in black accounting. They were not accounting the transactions. We have to understand whether enforcement is the answer to this. Enforcement is not the answer to this. Enforcement cannot catch each and every person's. Enforcement is only on sample basis. We have to basically come into the line. We have to explain the taxpayers. And why I am telling this? Because everything moves through chartered accountant associations. It moves through chartered accountant. All the businessmen goes to chartered accountant. And that is why I am putting this word here. We have to change the habit of the businessman. They must keep the accounting. If there is no proper accounting, somewhere they will not be able to do their business properly. Let me disclose something to you. The government is thinking to capture each and every B2C transactions also. And after 5 years, may not be 5 years, maybe in 10 years, you will find that each and every transactions of India is being captured through systems. Recently, you must have heard that GST have issued invoice, so-called notice to Bangalore on the basis of UPI transactions. And GST Council is thinking about raising the tax, this exemption limit. Yes, exemption limit is too low at present. The government has to think that whether 50 lakhs, 40 lakhs and 20 lakhs in today's world, whether 40 lakhs is sufficient enough. Government has to think why they should not raise the exemption limit from 2 crore, this composition scheme from whatever, it is 1 crore or 2 crore, 1.5 crore, from 1.5 crore to 5 crore. When our average tax collection is roughly 3%, so why we should not increase the composition scheme up to 5 crore? And why the composition scheme should not be made mandatory? Let it be 2%. Government will be a winner in this. Everyone will pay tax with 2%. Again, why the mandatory cash payment should not be there? I am telling you, this GST is dealing with most of the energy of GST is being spent in dealing with fake invoicing. Fake invoicing has become a big problem for the GST. So just now I was discussing, they were saying that now the GST registration has is simplified. The problem never goes away. Can you imagine how many registration is taking place per month? It's more than 10,000 registration. Now, the government is doing the registration without seeing the income tax return. We are giving the registration. Nothing is being checked. What is being checked? It is only the address of proof of address where of business, or proof of additional place of business. and definitely the identity of the persons. So we have to think differently. The GST, if you just see in ITC, what are the problems which have come up? In ITC, the fake invoicing is the biggest issue. So let me just talk about the fake invoicing. Whether fake invoicing will go, this is the issue. The second issue is the clandestine clearance. Whether clandestine clearance is there or not there, this is again an issue. If you go back to the central excise, you may not be aware much about central excise. So in central excise, there were many evasion-prone communities where a lot of evasion were taking place. They were not clearing the goods without payment of central excise. Whether still the clandestine removal is being taking place. So my opinion is, yes, it is going on, but it is legalized. How it is legalized, let me explain you. As far as fake invoicing is concerned, so it is basically GST is continuity of ITC. Means X is availing the, it is for B2B transactions, the recipient is availing ITC and paying tax. So if this continuity, once there is a B2C transactions, this continuity should break. And the moment continuity break, the government is going to get further revenue. But if you continue with this continuity, this means how to continue? How the fake invoicers, they are dealing with that? They are converting B2C transaction into B transactions, in B2B transactions. How they are doing it? So the goods are sold to B2C person, but as far as documents are concerned, these are being sold to further, for B2B transactions. So this continuity is not breaking. If continuity does not break, government is going to lose huge amount of revenue. You will not believe the fake invoicing has become one of the biggest business in India. So we have to think, because it is a mind-boggling figures. In fact, if that GST is collected correctly, your tax rate should come roughly around 5 to 6%, and collection should double or triple. But we are going at the rate of 18% and 28%, and still hovering around the tax collection, maybe 4 to 5% growth. So we have to deal with the fake ITC. We have to basically work. You have to think as a citizen, because everyone is sufferer. It's not that if government revenue increases, so automatically the development of the country will improve. Your tax rate will reduce. If you imagine in 1980s, the custom duty used to be 300%, 200%. Even though there was a physical control in the central excise, the goods were not cleared from factory without signature of the inspector. So we have traveled from there. The history has proved you reduce the tax rate, the collection will increase. Collection never reduce, because compliance increases. The tax rate should be such that the cost of evading tax is higher than the tax rate. So automatically for removing this fake invoicing, you impose 3% minimum cash payment. Automatically the fake invoicing will go away. Because their profit margin range from 3% to 4%. They are working on 3 to 4%. You impose a minimum cash payment of 2%, everyone will stop that. But government has to take a decision in this regard. So these are the things. let me explain something about the enforcement which department is doing it. So what is the effect of enforcement? So if you see the statistics, you will find that most of the cases is lost by department. So you are always a winner. Department is never a winner. But it takes a lot of time to decide the case. But what is the effect? Department will always book a case. Department will always do the interpretation and book a case in favor of the department. It will be always there. And it will always be a dispute. But with the help of the tax policy, the dispute are being minimized. Like 16.4, the government basically took a decision and gave the ITC up to certain period for all the taxpayers. So government always tries to minimize the dispute. Government is never in the favor of the dispute because through dispute government never wins. So, but what is the effect of the enforcement? The effect of enforcement is basically it is a deterrent effect. If the notices are issued, if the proper investigation is being conducted and it is brought on the record, so it gives a message to the society that you follow the proper path. If you don't follow the proper path, you will also have to face the same consequence. And that is why the enforcement is there. It will be always there, enforcement is there. One question must be coming into mind, why department loses? So I am giving you the answer to that. When the department is booking a case, they are looking for evidences. And what is your notice? It is basically quantification and the evidences, allegations and the evidences. They allege that you have not paid because of so and so contravention, and they give the evidences to that. But department can never find all the evidences. But how the judiciary is functioning? Judiciary and the tax consultant who are basically presenting the client before the judiciary, they are finding out what is the lacuna in the notices, what is the loopholes in the notices, and there will be always a loopholes. So both department and judiciary, they are working on the different line. And that is why department is always on the back foot. Department hardly gets a revenue from the dispute. It takes a lot of time, and that is why the settlement scheme is always there. When there is a settlement scheme, the government gets a lot of revenue from there. So settlement scheme is always preferable, so that at least some portion of revenue, first dispute is eliminated, and secondly, some portion of revenue is collected. So this enforcement action will be always there. The deterrent effect will be always there. These things will be always there. Your work will be always there. There is no doubt on that. The work will increase. Why work will increase? Let me explain you. The department is working on artificial intelligence. Your entire data, now imagine the entire data, transaction data of the country will be on the system. When I was in North Commissionerate, I had so much of intelligence that I cannot work for, I can continuously work for 5 years and it will never end. So much of intelligence. The department has so much of intelligence that they cannot basically issue the so-cause notice. That is the extent. Because everything comes from system. Every taxpayer is given a scorecard. You must be aware, maybe someone may be aware or someone may not be aware. And by just seeing the scorecard, we can find out where is the error, where they are doing the problem, where is the problem. The system is so fast that if you compare with the earlier system, it was very difficult to generate the data of any taxpayer from the system. Now it takes only 1 to 2 minutes. I can generate everything and find out where it has gone wrong, where the evasion is there. If you compare with the income tax, in the income tax you file the return and you get, from the Bangalore you get a acknowledgement. And after 2-3 days they said there is so much of shortage of revenues there. You have to pay tax. So assessment is so fast by the system. GST also, it will be the same system. Maybe because it is on the starting point, so we are doing it. The department is doing it. But at the last, what I would say, as a chartered accountant, it is our responsibility to teach our businessmen that they should account for everything. Number one, they should follow the system. The system has been built. It's not that government wants to build a system. Government basically wants that everyone should follow a system. Let them prepare. If you go to a Chandni Chowk, you will not find any invoice there. If you go to Metia Beach, you will not get any invoice there. So how the revenue is going to come? So basically, you have to ensure that the businessmen come into the line. They follow the accounting principles. Let them prepare the accounts. And a message can be left to them. They cannot grow bigger by evading tax. They can grow bigger by paying tax. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that enlightening inaugural address. Sir has highlighted a lot of things regarding the evasion of taxes. On this note, I'd like to give some statistics to the gathering. Around 25,397 cases were recorded for tax evasion from April 24 to January 25. Over the past 5 years, the total number of cases recorded have been 86,711. In the first quarter of financial year 26 alone, the officers have uncovered 15,851 crores of bogus ITC across 3558 fake firms. That's 175 crore of fake credit per day this quarter. This highlights the necessity which sir has said regarding the accountability to be strengthened so that the firm can grow and as well as the country. With this, I now request CA Manish Raj Dhandaria ji to kindly present a vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It is indeed an honor and the privilege to deliver vote of thanks on behalf of ACAI Chartered Accountants CPE Study Circle of EIRC of ICAI. At the outset, my sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Sri Manoj Kedia Sir, IRS, Principal Additional Director General Vigilance, Eastern Zone, CGST Department, Kolkata. So your keynote address was insightful and already set the tone for today's summit. And most of the other speakers must have heard what he said, and definitely they will be taking up the issues which sir have said here. And I also thank CA Tarun Gupta ji and Ayush Jain for organizing this summit. And special thank to Subham Khetan for publishing this journal and the 51 case laws handbook together with others like Sakshi Jajaria, Priyanshi, Rohit Prasad and Siddhant Jajodia. And also thank you everyone for participating in this. Now I would like to request all the dignitaries who are present, speakers, past presidents, and office bearer to come forward to have a group photo on the dais. Sir Avinash, Sir Arunji. If I'm missing anyone from the back, any office bearers, past presidents,